My dear friend, Deputy Defense Minister Alexander Fomin, members of the panel, ladies and gentlemen, very happy to be addressing you today, but I would have been happier if I were in Moscow, as I was on 3-4 previous occasions. The pandemic, events at home, and the urgencies of the peace process kept me here. But I still am happy to be speaking to you. And thank you very much. We are, ladies and gentlemen, in a new era. A multiple polar world order has emerged. And with it, the need for new rules for the better and amicable management of this new order, of the challenges and opportunities. As I see it from my perspective, indications are in both directions. The recent meeting between the presidents of Russia and the United States of America are hopeful signs of a wiser management of issues and of differences. While the continuing environment of rivalry and media campaign between great powers is a source of worry, as needs and challenges are universal, so has to be the response to these needs and challenges. Pandemics, climate change, food insecurity, mass migrations because of conflict and deprivation, cybersecurity, extremism and terrorism, and most importantly, of course, weapons of strategic significance, and so on, are issues increasingly of universal global significance. Thoughtful and cooperative management, in particular by major world powers, would ensure a strategically stable world order. Ladies and gentlemen, in a big way, and increasingly, Eurasia, East Asia, and West and South Asia, as one grand hub, is emerging as one of the most significant pillars of economic growth and global stability. In the middle of all this, and connected to Eurasia, China, and West South Asia, is Afghanistan. A neighbor with China, a neighbor with South Asia, a neighbor with West Asia, a neighbor with Central Asia, and Russia. And for that reason, Robert Kaplan, in his thought-provoking book, The Revenge of Geography, refers to Afghanistan as breathtakingly strategic and the consequences that it has for us in Afghanistan and the larger region that we live in. And also, in the same vein, but decades and decades ago, the great philosopher Allama Iqbal, in his famous Persian poem, says about Afghanistan this: Asia is a body of water and clay. In this body, Afghanistan is the heart. In its well-being is the well-being of Asia. In its decline is the decline of Asia. Ladies and gentlemen, just very recently, about a month and a half ago, there was a horrendous attack on schoolgirls in Afghanistan, claimed by Daesh or the ISIS, in which more than 80 Afghan young girls died. We don't know. Why should Daesh come and kill Afghan children going to school? What is the enmity of Daesh with us, with schoolgirls? For what purpose? But for a bigger cause in which the Afghan people are the sufferers, on which the consequences fall. It is this theme, this suffering as one example of the many sufferings in Afghanistan, a glaring example, that brings me to talk with you today for Afghanistan and for the stability and for the strategic stability of this region. I've had on previous occasions as well spoken in Moscow in this good conference on the issue of extremism and terrorism and the threat that it poses to the larger region. Today, I speak to you in a manner, especially to the major powers who are our neighbors and our neighbors, in a manner of pleading both for peace and stability in Afghanistan and as a consequence and as a direct consequence for the larger region and for the major powers that are in our neighborhood and our neighbors. I'm not going to the causes. I've spoken about that in the past. I'm not going to explain reasons. The United States came here in the aftermath of this tragedy of 2001. The Afghan people welcomed them and the international community. And that exercise was backed by the entire international community, including those countries who were not seeing eye to eye with the United States. Iran, our neighbor, whose representative is sitting there with us today, backed the new order in Afghanistan. So did Russia full-heartedly, so did China wholeheartedly. That transformation brought about massive changes in Afghan lives and prospects and hopefulness for a better tomorrow. We saw slowly that is being eroded. And as demonstrated in the past few days, conflict has increased, insecurity has increased, and Afghanistan is once again, facing an uncertain future. It is, of course, for the Afghan people to get together and to make us the center of this exercise. But we also know that we cannot do this alone and without your help. Therefore, it is time, ladies and gentlemen, for our larger region and major powers and our neighbors to take a stronger, more proactive role for bringing peace and stability to Afghanistan, and by extension, lead to the prosperity of this region. 3 years ago, the United States launched a peace process for Afghanistan. And the Afghan people wholeheartedly supported this peace process, as it is the overwhelming desire of the Afghan people to have peace. And for that reason, the US efforts were given wholehearted support, with the hopes and expectations that this will happen soon. But it has been 3 years and the peace process still going on while the situation in the country is worsening, with more casualties, with more conflict, with more uncertainty for Afghanistan and this region. In this regard, we believe that the participation of Russia and China in the format of Tricle Plus with Pakistan will be a significant contribution to the speedy arrival of peace in Afghanistan and the concrete formation of peace and stability for this region. We hope that Iran will join this process effectively and actively. We hope also that India and Turkey will be part of this process because they are having impact in the region and with Afghanistan. Russia, thankfully and very wisely, from November of 2018 till today, and the last meeting by Russia on Afghanistan and in Moscow was held March of this year. Before that, in 1919, there were two significant occasions of arrangement of intra-Afghan dialogues in Moscow, which led to considerable hopefulness in Afghanistan. We are thankful to Russia's statesmanship on this, that contributed immensely to a better understanding between the two Afghan parties, the Republic side and the Taliban side. We very much hope and desire that this exercise by Russia in arranging peace talks on Afghanistan and talks between the Afghan parties will continue. We are also happy that recently, as I mentioned earlier, in March this year, there was a Troika meeting in Moscow, participated by the United States, China, Pakistan, Turkey, and in which Afghans were also invited from both sides. With a declaration, with a joint statement that assured Afghanistan, the Afghan people, a better future and peace. We hope that China too will continue to participate in this exercise, and we hope that the bigger region will be with us in making sure that Afghanistan reaches peace sooner rather than later. Ladies and gentlemen, peace in Afghanistan and stability in Afghanistan, we believe, are directly linked to a more stable, wider region, into a prosperous region in which not only Afghanistan, but the region will blossom and do better. Afghanistan, as I mentioned earlier, is at the heart of this region. And for it to prosper and be peaceful, the first is a peace process in which Afghanistan and the people of Afghanistan are the center. And then full participation and backing of the international community, especially, as I've been repeatedly saying in my current remarks, the Troika countries, plus the United States and other major powers. This, ladies and gentlemen, will get us to a better region, a strategic stability in which the desire of a nation that has been suffering for decades and for no fault of its own to reach peace will be fulfilled. And that fulfillment is a human desire. And I hope you all will participate with us to reach it. Towards this, the responsibility of the Afghan people is there and understood by us, the Afghan people. We want to stand on our own feet. We don't want to be dependent on one country. We want to be a country in peace with neighbors and in good relations with the wider region and the international community. And I assure you of this desire in the Afghan people. And thank you very, very much.